Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles Pipeline. Today, we are wrapping up our series about Lila Quartermaine. We have talked about her life on General Hospital and then her passing in 2004. Last week, we talked about her will and the contest that she had for the Quartermaines to be civil for 30 days. My favorite part of all that, though, is that she knew it was only going to be one. Yep. It's not like all of them that have been civil for the past 30 days get to share it. It's the Quartermaine who has been the most, and not even that, it was the most civil.
Right. It wasn't even like follow these 10 guidelines. It was like just figure out who's been the least jerky, and that's who wins.
Exactly. So I feel like very few characters we have seen been brought into the show still so much after they passed. You know, Steve Hardy, obvious, but we don't talk about him a lot. Liz references her grandfather every now and again. We hear about Lila, though, all the time, I feel. Lila and Edward, we still hear a lot about, but I feel like it's mostly Lila. There really wasn't a lot of information about things that have happened since she passed, but I think one of the most notable is, so we don't actually have like a write-up about this. It's just going to be a couple things that we've seen since she passed. And I guess this really didn't happen until Edward passed away, though, too, was April 1st, 2014, when AJ passed away. Lila and Edward returned. We only saw the back of them because both of the actors have passed, but they had people dressed like them. And they returned with Emily and Alan to get AJ, and they escorted him to heaven as Monica watched on. And then on May 1st, 2019, Lila and Edward came back for Oscar when he passed away from an inoperable brain tumor. Was it only those 2 times?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Why did I feel like we saw this a few more times? But I could be wrong. You want to talk about her namesakes?
Yes. So there has been 2 babies named after her. Lila McCall, which was Sam and Sunny's baby that was stillborn on November 8th, 2024. Nope, 2004. And then Lila Ray, which is Sky and Lorenza Alcazar's daughter. And she's 17 now. That would be a good character to be bringing back.
It would be a fantastic character to bring back. And we did do an entire 411 all about baby Lila McCall.
Yes.
I think that would be absolutely fantastic to bring Lila Ray back, because now we're kind of losing our teens.
Right.
You know, we have the youngins, we have the little ones, but not a teen. We don't have the high schoolers, you know?
Right.
I guess, well, Danny, I guess, is in high school. But yeah, we need those. But then one of our personal favorite tributes to Lila is Lila's Kids Summer Camp. And it is a local outdoor activities camp that takes place in the Rice Park in the city of Port Charles. And its history was that it was started in 2014. So I'm guessing that they started it because it was the 10-year anniversary of her passing. So Lila's Kids is a summer camp for local children named after the late beloved Lila Quartermaine. It's a subsidiary of ELQ, so that's probably their nonprofit division. And then it just says that Jocelyn Jackson, Cameron Weber are usually camp counselors during the summer. On April 13th, 2022, Ms. Aubrey from Lila's Kids calls Cameron and lets him know he cannot be a counselor that year after the sex tape scandal with Jocelyn. And then on August 15th, 2023, summer camp starts again with Avery Jerome Corinthos as a camper. I think it's interesting that it sounds like it starts later in the year when typically camps, I feel like, start end of June, beginning of July. That way it kind of just like it bridges the middle of the summer gap just to kind of rejuvenate the kids, I guess. So some former campers are Charlotte Cassadine, Spencer Cassadine, Jocelyn Jacks, Emma Scorpio Drake, Jake Spencer, and Cameron Weber. And then some former counselors are Nicholas Cassadine, Alice Gunderson, Oscar Nero Quartermaine, and Britt Westbourne. And I really didn't get to dig into things that have happened at Lila's kids. So you're welcome. I did not go deep dive into Lila's kids. I feel like it really could be, because there have been their own little stories there, but
Right.
we don't need to get into the deep details of Lila's kids right now.
Good
You're
job
welcome.
restraining yourself.
I know.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. And then we have Pickle Lila. Pickle Lila is a relish created by Lila Quartermaine. It is a subsidiary of ELQ International. The history of it was in 1984. Edward Quartermaine discovered what it is like to be broke when his daughter-in-law, Monica Quartermaine, and her new flame, Sean Donnelly, organized a hostile takeover. Sean leaked word of a merger between Donnelly Shipping and the Cassadine Industries. Edward's illegitimate son, Jimmy Lee Holt, decided to sell the family stock and invest it all. Monica had second thoughts and tried to warn the family that the merger was a fake, but they didn't listen, and the Quartermaines lost everything. However, Edward's wife, Lila Quartermaine, manages to make their fortune back with a new business called Pickle Lila. Monica's husband, Alan Quartermaine, later faked his death to get back at Sean and his wife. Sean, being faced with a murder charge, finally returned the Quartermaine money. And then in 2013, Tracy Quartermaine found an inferior pickle. Blah, blah, blah. Say that again. In 2013, Tracy Quartermaine founds an inferior pickle relish manufacturer to compete with Lila called Pickle Eddie. She appears on the show The Chew, where Franco Baldwin poisons the relish and makes the hosts sick.
That was weird.
It was weird.
And that's when we got, that's when Franco came back. That was when Roger Howarth came back.
Oh, okay.
That was the first time that we saw him as
Franco.
And then I'm going to ask you to be the one to read at the very bottom well, you don't have to read the whole thing. We can go back and forth, but the actual storyline that you found for us to read for Mother's Day. And after I read this is why I was like, wait a second, we need more info here.
Okay, let's keep in mind that I was trying to keep it short and sweet.
I know. There's nothing wrong with it. It was just after I read it, I was like, no, we can do better than that. I think it was a great choice. And like I said on this past week's recap show, we accidentally, because you chose it to be for Mother's Day, and who's the best mother that we've seen on General Hospital is Lila. And I loved it. And then, like I said, I mean, I own this one 100,000%. I extended this, but it actually wound up being that we released the first episode the same week that the actress Anna Lee passed away. And now we are recording the very last episode, and it is being released the week 20 years later. That's the thing. It was 20 years after her passing. We started it, and on the show, she passed away July 14th. That is the day that we are recording it, July 14th, 2024. And we're releasing it 20 years after the character Lila Quartermaine passed away. We could not have planned that.
Nope.
We couldn't have. We could have. But I think it's amazing that you just happened to suggest it out of nowhere too. You know, I mean, we'd been talking about her a little bit, but
right. No, it was just happened to be that it was Mother's Day, and I thought, oh, we'll talk about like the leading mother that we all wish we could be, and that is
Absolutely.
Lila.
Yep.
So Lila Morgan Quartermaine was a fictional character on the ABC soap opera General Hospital. She was the wife of the late Edward Quartermaine and the matriarch of the wealthy Quartermaine family. Lila often served as the rational party and peacemaker in the constant Quartermaine squabbles. She was adored and considered a saint by pretty much everyone she came in contact with. The character was created in 1978 and, except for a temporary recast in 1994, was portrayed by Anna Lee from 1978 until her death on May 14th, 2004, making her last appearance on May 30th, 2003. The character was written out of the show in July 2004, said to have died peacefully in her sleep. Lila died when Anna Lee died herself. But the storyline was Lila Quartermaine came to Port Charles.
Was not May 30th, 2003. We literally just did this. We didn't see her at all. We just did this entire thing, because didn't we see her in like November, December or something? Hold on, let's go.
I'll keep reading while you investigate.
No, it actually may have It may have been because everything that we talked about afterwards. So, like, the last thing that we really saw her do was when Sky, like that whole everything was Sky. But then after that, it was the Dead Man's Hand where they talked about Lila, like in her cards and everything. And then the last time that she was really, really like I guess, kind of a storyline was on her was December when they had Luke seeing that Edward and Lila would have adopted them, like that whole thing, like the Christmas story.
Right.
Okay, continue.
I will throw in there under casting, it does tell us that on January 7th, 1993, Anna Lee was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was the first actress to receive a star while on a daytime drama. That's very exciting. That she was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2004 Daytime Emmys, but died 1 week prior.
So I'll go ahead and read that article because I have that later. It was Anna Lee, whose nearly 70-year acting career in movies and television spanned from her groundbreaking role in How Green Was My Valley to an extended run on General Hospital, died Friday of pneumonia, her son said. She was 91. Lee had been ailing for the past several months and died at her home near Beverly Hills with son Jeffrey Byron, 48, by her side. Paralyzed from the waist down in a car accident just a year after she began playing Lila Quartermaine in ABC's General Hospital, Lee acted in a wheelchair for more than 2 decades until she left the soap last year. Born in Kent, England, Lee studied acting in London and was known as the British bombshell when touring the. I know. I mean, she was a gorgeous woman, but I didn't know that was like her thing.
Title.
When touring the London Repertory Theatre, her son said. In the early 1930s, she moved to California to work in Hollywood and appeared in more than 60 films, including The Sound of Music, Fort Apache, and King Solomon's Mines. In 1982, Lee received an MBE, or Member of the Order of the British Empire Award. She is to be honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at Friday's Daytime Emmys. Lee was married 3 times, first to director Robert Stevenson. She was married to George Stafford for 2 decades and wed Robert Nathan in 1970. Nathan died in 1985. And that was an article from the Spokesman Review on May 17th, 2004. And so that she knew she was getting the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
And it just.
It is sad that she passed away a week before, though.
I know.
So for storyline, Lila Quartermaine came to Port Charles with the rest of her family in 1978 when Alan decided to stay at General Hospital and bought a house in town. In 1983, Lila's first husband, Crane Tolliver, pays her a visit. He has proof that his and Lila's divorce was not legal, and therefore her marriage to Edward is illegal and all the Quartermaines are illegitimate. He teams up with Susan Moore, Lila's son, Alan's former mistress, and Jason's mother to blackmail the Quartermaines. Susan backs out and Crane kills her. Crane himself dies shortly after, so Lila legally marries Edward in 1983. In 1986, Alan's wife Monica and her lover, Sean Donnelly, bankrupt the Quartermaines, and Monica throws all of them out of the Quartermaine mansion, of which she is the owner. The family moves in above Kelly's Diner, but Lila does little complaining. That's when she founded her own business called Pickle Lila, which is a delicious relish that sweeps the country. The venture puts the Quartermaines back in the black. In 1989, when Edward disappeared into the Bermuda Triangle and was thought to be dead, Lila did not appear to be phased, as she preferred conversing with his portrait, which actually talked back to her. And then in February 1990, Lila takes a bad spill and is paralyzed during renovations at the Quartermaine mansion. She opts not to have surgery and therefore uses a motorized wheelchair for the remainder of her life. Lila was reunited with Edward in 1991 when their daughter Tracy discovered him playing beach bum in the Bahamas. In 1993, Lila took on a personal assistant, Brenda Barrett, when the teenager's sister, Lila's grandson, Ned Quartermaine's lover, Julia, left Port Charles. Lila invited Brenda to live with them, and then in 1996, when Lila's grandson, Jason Quartermaine, was stricken with permanent amnesia after a car crash, Lila reached out, and Jason only bonded with his grandmother and sister, Emily. Jason, later wanting to distance himself from the family, takes the name Jason Morgan as a tribute to her. Ned Quartermaine asked Felicia Jones to write Lila's memoirs. Lila told Felicia about love letters Edward had sent her during World War II. Lila had given them to her cousin for safekeeping. In the process of writing Lila's memoir, Luke Spencer and Felicia uncovered a family secret. They found out that Edward had killed Lila's fiancé, Elliot Thompson, and married her instead. Lila, however, revealed the truth. She said Elliot had forced himself on her, and after discovering that Edward had been sending her love letters, he signed as Elliot. So Lila had hit him over the head with a fireplace poker, killing him. Luke and Felicia agreed to keep the truth a secret. Tracy's 2003 return to Port Charles delighted Lila. That is, until Tracy revealed that Skye was not really a Quartermaine. Disappointed, Lila kicked Tracy out of the mansion. She returned not long after with her teenage son, Dylan Quartermaine, in tow. In 2004, we saw many changes to the Quartermaine family. The Port Charles Hotel, which the family had owned for many years, caught fire and burned to the ground, trapping Edward, Alan, Monica, Tracy, Jason, Emily, Skye, and Dylan inside. The whole situation caused Edward to have a near-fatal heart attack. Ned and Reginald were left to try and keep Lila away from the television, worried that the news would kill her. One evening in July of 2004, Lila told Edward that she loved him before going to bed. She then died peacefully in her sleep. The entire family in town were shocked at her passing. The family continued to bicker as they dealt with their grief. The Quartermaines and the rest of Port Charles came together to say goodbye to Lila at her funeral. Even old friends Lee and Gail Baldwin, Lucy Coe, Kevin Collins, Robin Scorpio, and Amanda Barrington all returned home for Lila's funeral, and many of her family members spoke of what a wonderful person she was. Emily then took over as family peacemaker and always encouraged Jason to have more contact with the Quartermaines as a favor to Lila. As the family sings before Thanksgiving dinner in 2012, the ghost of Lila appears with the ghost of Edward. On April 1st, 2000.
We missed that one.
Oh, it didn't mention that on the top even when it said when she came back. Like it tells you in the top, and it just mentioned those two that we had already talked about. April 1st, 2014, AJ dies and she returns alongside the ghost of Edward, Emily, and Alan. They later escort him into heaven as Monica watches on. And then May 1st, 2019, the ghosts of Lila and Edward returned to escort Oscar into heaven as he died from an inoperable brain tumor. Crimes committed. Unknowingly committed bigamy by marrying Edward Quartermaine when she was still married to Crane Tolliver, and then killing her fiancé, Elliot Thompson, with a fireplace poker in self-defense. And then health and vitals. She was attacked by Elliot Thompson in 1942, and that was revealed in 1999. She felt faint when learning she hadn't actually divorced Crane Tolliver in 1981. She suffered a bad fall that rendered her wheelchair bound for the rest of her life in 1990, and she died of old age July 14th, 2004. And in case you wanted to know
I just want to say real quick, we are reading what was written. Wheelchair bound is not how you say that. It's a person who uses a wheelchair.
Yes. And then
so we are just remember most of the time we're just reading something that is written. So
right. And then if you wanted to know, her astrological sign is a Taurus. And then it also goes on to say that the portrait of Lila and Edward is among those hung on the memorial wall at General Hospital.
So that would not have even taken 10 minutes. Although it does say, I forgot up at the top, it says General Hospital and the city. I didn't even think to go over to the city and see what Lila Quartermaine did over there, because I forgot about that there was a couple crossovers.
Oh, yeah. I did not do that either.
Oh, well. Yeah. But yeah, that was it. That's Lila. But then also we've seen her just recently, Brooklyn had Lila's wedding dress redesigned, I guess.
Right.
For her own wedding. So, yay.
Yes. It was a beautiful dress. I liked that they reflected back on that and showed clips of the storyline whenever she was giving the dress to Lois, and then how Tracy was sad that she had never wore it. So
yeah. And I think that it wasn't even that, I think it was Tracy never wanted to.
Right.
You know, I'm sure that Lila would have let her if she had, but it just didn't occur to her, I guess, which is fine, you know.
Right.
And personally, one of my favorite movies is The Sound of Music. And I remember when I was little and I was so excited that I figured out that Sister Margareta, who Maria makes me laugh, was Lila. So if you need to figure it out, that's the nun, the one that Maria makes laugh, Sister Margareta. And even in The Sound of Music, her character was kind of similar to Lila, where it was, yeah, Maria's doing all these crazy things, but she really is a good person. It was, so I just feel like that must have been Anna Lee. So
yeah.
I'm so sad this is over. I loved the past couple weeks. It was just, I love all the research, but there's been some that, not that I don't love it. It's just this one made me smile every single time I went to do it. I was like, I get to work on Lila.
Yes, every week was something new. It wasn't like if we did a 411 on Portia every week, we would be like, and then she complained about something and it would get ridiculous. This
right.
Fun and exciting to hear all the things that Lila did. And because you do think of her as this kind older woman in the wheelchair, and then you remember the times that she like stood up to the family and was like, no, absolutely not.
Yep. And notice that her crimes weren't, okay, yes, she did kill Elliot with the fire poker, but
it was
that was in self-defense.
Yeah.
She did not know she was still married to Crane Tolliver.
No.
So she basically did not commit crimes. I think she's the only person on the show. So Congratulations, Lila. All right. So I guess with that, join us on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.